Good day, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM, WBISLP. This is the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn at Jacqueline Cullins, my co-host. Who's going to introduce herself at this time? Jackie.
Hey, Dr. Glenn. As you said, this is Jacqueline Cullins Williams, co host with Dr. Glenn. And I just want to say it's a good day today, Dr. Glenn.
In the name of Jesus.
In the name of Jesus, we're happy, we're blessed, and we're just glad to be here on today. We're glad to share this subject with you on today. A continuation from last week. Last week we had Coach Vernon with us, and he's not able to be with us on this week. But today we still are going to conclude and continue to work with this topic because I think everyone can relate to this topic, and everyone has eaten out at some point. They've gone through a drive-through. We cook at home. And so there's going to be some great information on today's show that we can share with you.
Absolutely. And some of those points are the drive-through of the future will look totally different. The drive-through of the future will look totally different. As Vernon Garrison said last week, there's a ongoing mission to discontinue drive-thrus at fast food restaurants. Also, our fast food restaurant drive-thrus closing down. And among some of those other things, dining in at restaurants, fast food restaurants, may come a thing of the past also. And lastly, included on today's topic is church attire. How should you dress appropriately for church? And we're going to begin our topic of 9 examples of good restaurant customer service. Jackie.
Definitely. And I think last week we did some things with the church attire, but we didn't, we said a few things, but I think we needed to go into that topic a little bit more and just a little deeper into that. So we talked about table etiquette. We didn't really get into that as deeply as we needed to, but we're going to talk a little bit more about table etiquette and restaurant etiquette, even some things at the restaurant that is good etiquette and what makes good customer service at a restaurant, because we've all been there and we've all had some good experiences and we've all had some bad experiences, and we all have some things that we may not pay attention to that our broadcast might even bring out today.
For instance, Jackie, I think I mentioned to you I saw my dietitian today, and I mentioned some of the things that we shared last week with our listening audience, and I said I'll include some things today. One of those things being how sanitized are the utensils that you're using at these restaurants, because so many hands have touched them, and including glasses, drinking glasses you might have drunk out of.
Definitely.
How many hands have touched those, and are they properly sanitized? So, she said her response was, you know what, Glenn, that is definitely on point, very interesting and fascinating. I'm glad you shared stuff like that. So that's what my dietitian said today. Jackie.
Definitely. And Dr. Glenn, another thing in that area that I saw just today that came to mind was when you talked about the glasses. A lot of places don't serve glasses. They serve plastic cups. You know, their glasses are the plastic cups. And oftentimes those cups have a crack in the bottom that we don't see. We see that condensation coming on the table, and we a lot of times think that's because the drink is cold, but sometimes there's literally a crack in the bottom of the glass. And this is where there could be bacteria. Even though they're putting it in the dishwasher, that crack can hold bacteria. How many other people have used it? How much other food and things that have been even in the dishwasher that could be lodged in that crack? Sometimes we end up sick or with stomach problems from places, and we don't understand that it came from the utensils that we're using in the restaurant.
But stop right there. Stop right there. Because you mentioned that plasticware holds more bacteria than any other surface or substance. So yes, you're absolutely right. Why not use a glass as opposed to plasticware? I have no idea, but perhaps that's something that any of these facilities are using. They should reconsider. But for a fact, plastic holds more bacteria than anything.
But definitely, if you see a crack in that cup, take it and make sure the management knows they need to throw that cup away. that does not need to be reused again. That is it's a haven for bacteria. It's a
Yeah,
place that people can, the next person that drinks, everybody could end up with something,
yeah, yeah,
gastrically or even passed on, from person to person from using that cup.
yeah. Not only that, the facility should know if they see that item is supposed to be discarded right away. It's almost as if, like, say for instance, a restaurant or a bar that have the wells and they have the reaching reaching coolers to hold the beverages. If a one glass breaks inside that well or cooler, they have to empty all the ice out, empty the entire well or cooler, and discard everything inside because they don't want to risk the fact that there might be glass mixed in with the ice. So they're supposed to discard everything in there immediately.
Definitely. And cleanliness of the restaurant, Dr. Glenn. How clean is the restaurant? I have a little bit of a pet peeve. It's my own, but you might want to look at this, and that is when people mop while I'm eating.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if nothing is I could see there's an emergency, something is waste on the floor, and you have to get that up right away so no one is injured or no one falls.
And
But
that's
while you're cleaning and I'm eating and you're over there mopping, you're mopping all around the floor where I am. That bothers me. I don't mop and eat at home.
that it bothers me too. And particularly if somebody's spraying. I was at a restaurant one time and I'm eating. As I'm eating, one of the associates came out just started spraying all kinds of spray, clean up something. Like, wait, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. I asked him to call the manager. I explained to the manager why I asked him to stop. I said, "Do you realize I'm eating my food is open, and you're spraying things you can't see the spray with your human eyes, but if, not only the spray is being emitted in the air, it's filling up the air, and it's probably cross contaminating my food."
Definitely, they shouldn't be spraying that wide.
Exactly.
They should be the towel should be wet, and they should be spraying it on the towel, and then
Exactly.
putting it instead of just all
Yeah.
over the table.
Like you said, wet the towel or whatever, and then putting it on the surface as opposed to just spraying it so it's in the open air.
Definitely.
You're absolutely right.
And uniforms, when people are serving at the table, that their uniform is dirty. Sometimes people don't wash it the day, or their apron or whatever they're wearing the day before, and it's got all kinds of food on it from the day before. That makes a bad image
And that's
when
bacteria.
your uniform is not clean.
And that's bacteria.
You have to wash that thing nightly. Take it off and wash it. Don't just put it back on and say, "Oh, it just got a little dirt on it," and then now you're wearing it again.
Yeah, not only that, I know this from experience, and I want to mention this so our listening audience would know. Is it safe to store cooked food along with raw food? Absolutely not. So you might have something that you might be eating, you're not going to finish it. So you want to put it in something and put it in the fridge. But if there's raw products in the fridge, you cannot put those two items together. That's cross contamination.
Definitely. One of the things that you can do at home is separate them also with Ziploc bags. If you have raw food, you could put it in the Ziploc bags and seal it. And that way it's not, able to contaminate the food that's already cooked that you have there. So that's one way of doing it. I mean, those are just tips that I use, Dr. Glenn. And I make sure that we don't put them together anyways. But sometimes when you have kids and things, you have to teach them to not put the cooked food, the leftover food from last night next to the raw chicken in the refrigerator. So you have to tell them what to do. But it's best to put that raw chicken into a Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
So that way it's less chance to cross contaminate.
And we have 1 minute to go for this particular segment. I just want to mention, and we'll continue as we come back. But what about, what's the word? I was just looking for the word, we're not recycling, but we organize things in there. What's that word? I just had it onto my tongue. That's, when you shuffle stuff around, taking the old, putting the old at the top.
Oh, yes.
New at the bottom.
Oh, yes.
So, rotate. That's the word.
Rotating the food.
Rotating the food.
Yes. Looking at those expiration dates.
Yeah.
That's a very good thing.
Expiration dates and rotating your food items in your fridge or freezer is a highly thing that's recommended. Anyway, you're listening to the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivation with Glenn and Jacqueline Cullins Williams. We're going to our first sponsorship break. We will return with more commentary after this brief break. Please stay tuned. Keep it locked right here.
My name is Jayla, and you're to see to my papa, Glenn Johnson, on the radio.
From the Pacific Justice Institute, this is The Legal Edge, defending your rights as a Christian, a parent, and a citizen. Here's Brad Pecos.
Today, Christian families are being targeted by social workers for simply raising their kids up in the faith. From parents with kids in public school to even homeschool, the threat to family autonomy is increasing. Fortunately, with offices nationwide, Pacific Justice Institute is here and offers preventive measures to prepare parents on how to navigate such a threat. Be equipped and ready to protect your children and family autonomy by downloading PJI's free resource, 12 Steps to Protect Your Children from CPS at pji.org.
PJI provides legal representation without charge. Get exclusive email updates by registering for the Legal Insider at pji.org.
WBIS LP Awesome Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for keeping it locked right here to the Glenn Johnson Show. This is Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM, WBISLP. And please remember, you can avail yourself to the listening broadcast, of course, on the FM dial, 106.9 FM. Also, the various apps, the Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Roku TV, and, of course, the App Store for Mac, Apple users. Also, if anybody have a comment or question they'd like to share with us, please call in. You will be live on the broadcast at 252-756-2008. And always, don't forget, we are on the World Wide Web at WBISAwesomeRadio.org. Jackie.
Yes. And again, want to reiterate, you can call right now and call that number of 252-756-2008, and you will be on right now. Come on and dialogue with us about this particular subject. We're going to look at also, we're continuing with our subject here, and we were talking about some restaurant etiquette and some things that can happen at the restaurant that makes good service and bad service. And one of the things that I believe, Dr. Glenn, and this is my own, I just wrote a few lists of my own little pet peeves, and everybody else, they may find themselves that they see these particular things as well. One of them is volume control of the people that are serving in the restaurant, especially with certain ones that are open in, the atmosphere is more open. Dining, the restaurant staff, if they're making a lot of noise or they're, too loud with while they're talking and while they're talking to each other, it can be disruptive for us, while we're eating, to hear them make too much noise.
I'm glad you mentioned about the noise level or volume control, because I just found this out last week. If you ever go to a restaurant, particularly ones that have a television, so you can look at television, maybe the news or something while you're eating your meal. But one of the ones that I go to, I asked the owner, how come there's never no sound on the television? And he said, well, that's because having the television is one thing, but as soon as you turn the sound on, they have to pay for it.
Wow.
Yeah. So they have to pay for it if you turn the audio on.
Well, some of the places too, or people that go to dine, they're not necessarily going there for that music or for the noise. They're going there sometimes, even like myself, I may want to go and look at a few things or study a few things or research a few things. And I might want to do this outside of the house, and I might want to do it at a restaurant. Sometimes that noise or it being too noisy is a distraction. When it's too noisy and the music is too loud. I mean, we came to eat. We didn't come to go clubbing or dancing. It's not a place where we go to dance and eat. We just came to eat.
Yeah. And the reason why I said that, because one of the things I cannot tolerate. All right, I go to a restaurant, the television is on, but there's music playing over the television. So you don't hear the audio from the television, which I cannot tolerate. Why have the television on if you're going to play music? Because if I see the television on, I want to hear the audio that's associated with the television, not the music.
Definitely. I understand what you're saying. And so that is one of the things that we see there. Also making sure that staff is fit to be serving food. It's nothing worse than seeing someone come into your table and they're coughing and they're making all kinds of noises, or they're blowing their nose and they look like they're sick while you're eating your meal.
Yeah.
Make sure the staff is together. If you're sick, don't come. You know, that's it's really a negative image to see somebody sick, you know, and their nose, they're blowing and then they gotta touch your plate.
And that happened to me one time. I was actually traveling. I'm not gonna mention the name of the restaurant or where I was located, but I ordered my food and I looked behind the counter, and the gentleman that's preparing the food was picking his nose. I called the manager up to the register and advised her of that, and she sent him home immediately.
Definitely no picking. That's the worst thing, Dr. Glenn, is see them picking or doing something, or I mean, not just picking, but digging anywhere. Anywhere.
That's right. And you know another one. And I'm not singling out females, but females with these long nails, so long, I don't see how they wear them because they can't do anything with the nails on. They're so long. But how about serving food with these long nails
Oh
or
yes.
doing anything else? They can't do anything. The nails are so long that it's humanly impossible for them to do anything else.
Oh yes, there definitely could be a problem with bacteria too with those.
Yeah.
I can't function with them, but I don't know other people they may be able to, but it doesn't work for me. Also, to make sure that the hand washing policies are there for employees. Like that is posted in the bathroom. There's some places the employees and everyone else has to use the same bathroom, and it needs to be posted in there that employees need to wash their hands before they go back to work. I had the experience of being in a restaurant once when I lived in Colorado and went into the bathroom to wash my hands before I went to eat. And while I was in there, one of the employees was in the stall. And she came right out of there and went right up there to the food and started stirring. She didn't wash not one hand, Dr.
And
Glenn.
you know what I would have did? I would have kindly went over to her. I said, "Can I show you something?" And she would have been like, "Yeah." I would have escorted her to the front door. I said, "Go get in your car and go home."
She went right. I couldn't even get her. She went right back to where they cooked the food. But I beeline right up there to the front
That's right.
to the cash register and said, "No, I'm sorry. Give me my money back. Like, we're not going to eat here today." This lady just went right there, stirred the food, and went in the kitchen.
Absolutely
We're in the
not.
bathroom together now. It's one thing if I, didn't know what I saw, but I saw and I followed her, and she went right up there to the kitchen.
And it was a good thing that you saw it.
Yes. So make sure they're washing their hands, and make sure they're keeping things clean. That's one of the things that makes a restaurant very good for dining, and also that they're pleasant. When they come to the table, nothing beats meeting a great attitude, a great spirit, and a great smile. When you see someone come to the table and they're smiling and they're happy, better than somebody grumpy and seem like they don't want to be there and they're over your food. You don't want that over your food. You don't want a bad attitude.
Yeah, because somebody smiling with nice, kind, and courtesy give you more reason to stay and dine with them.
Yes. And I think we have it on our paper here that they should know about their food. It's one of the 9 examples of good restaurant customer service. Know about the place. You ask them what's the special here or what's very good to eat here, and they have no clue. They don't eat there themselves. It says something about a person that never eats at the place where they work.
And that's bad.
It really is. There could be a reason why they're not eating at the place where they work.
That's right, Jackie. Anyway, we have 1.5 minutes to go before we go to the break, Jackie.
Definitely. We're gonna switch over, Dr. Glenn, and look at table etiquette. Some of the things to do at table etiquette. Some things you probably already do, and some things we're gonna be just a reminder for you. And one of the things it says here is to never tuck your napkin under your chin. A lot of times people do that to keep their clothes clean and stuff. And I have to admit that I have done that myself. I will put it right up under my collar to make sure that I don't drop any food, especially if I have somewhere else to go or I have on a light color. I will put that napkin and tuck it under my chin. And it says as one of the table etiquettes is to never tuck your napkin under your chin. It also says here to pass the food to the right.
That's
When
right.
you're on the table, you need to pass the food to the right. I think if somebody's sitting right immediately to the left of you, that it's okay to pass, and they ask for the salt, it's okay to hand them the salt because they're near you.
Yeah.
But when it's around the other side of the table, you need to pass everything to the right.
And there's reasons, a lot of reasons for that.
Definitely. And so also it says use serving utensils, serve your food, and not with your own flatware. So like if there's a serving spoon, and that's common sense, but a lot of people don't do that. They may try to serve their food from the same fork that they're eating with. That if it's a family style, especially family style restaurants, or even not, if I'm at the table with somebody, I don't want them serving out of the food with their utensil.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, keep it locked right here to Awesome Radio, 106.9
This
FM.
is Glenn Coward. You're listening to 106.9 Awesome Radio.
Do you need community volunteer hours? If so, then Awesome Radio is an excellent organization to volunteer with. We are seeking self-motivated individuals. You just might discover a new career in broadcast radio. Current openings for volunteer positions: engineer, voiceover, community events. Must have integrity. Must not smoke, drink, inhale, or take any such controlled substances while on the premises and while representing Awesome Radio in any capacity. Must have flexibility of days and times. Must have valid driver's license. Must have own transportation. For more detailed information, 252-756-3137. If you would like to join our family team here at Awesome Radio, the number to reach us, 252-756-3137. 252-756-3137. Yeah. Can you hear us? Can you feel us? Awesome Radio.
We're back. You're listening to The Glenn Johnson Show. You can reach Glenn at glennjohnsonshow@gmail.com.
Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Awesome Radio. This is the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivation with Glenn and Jacqueline Cullins Williams. We are continuing our topic of discussion on today's broadcast: etiquette, proper etiquette, dining out, or in general. When Jackie, before we went to the break, you were mentioning something, so I just want to reiterate what you said. It's always good to have proper manners, proper etiquette. And coming back from the break, Miss Keela, the owner of the station, her audio clip was saying about, do you need community volunteer hours? And she pointed out some things. So I want to include with that, this is another reason why I have proper etiquette, proper manners, proper values, particularly if you're dining out. You never know who you're going to meet. It might be that prospective employer that you're looking to work for. So you want to make sure you look your best, you're at your best behavior, and you're doing everything that's required to do. And maybe that may lead to you getting that job, Jackie.
Definitely. Dr. Glenn, this is a big one for me, and I'm sure it's a big one for a lot of people, to chew with your mouth closed. There's nothing worse than seeing somebody smacking and dropping food, or talking and spitting, and food is flying out of their mouth. We need to chew with our mouth closed. And I deal with children a lot on this particular issue. They'll love to be talking and just smacking and chewing, with their mouth open. That's a manner thing that children can be taught as well.
Especially if they're missing teeth.
But they love to talk with that food in their mouth.
Yeah, they got supposed to have 32 teeth, but they got 20. I'm not making fun of it, but that is true. Some people like to do that. And that is the worst thing to do. Like you said, Jackie, you can't be looking like a jack-o'-lantern, having a pile of food in your mouth and talking.
Definitely.
That's not appropriate.
It says here also, this one I think it's culture wise, because I think we as Black people do this all the time. Toothpicks should be used in private. I've gone out to stores and seen people with toothpick hanging in their mouth. It's just like a habit to chew on it for some people and to just use that toothpick, and they talk and that toothpick is hanging out of their mouth. Toothpick should be used in private. You should pick the tooth already.
Yeah.
And throw the toothpick away.
That's right, because you don't know how much bacteria that toothpick is collecting, dangling from your mouth. Like I see people with straws, pencils, and everything hanging out of their mouth. I'm like, do you have any idea what that might have been?
Definitely, and especially the toothpick. And so those are a few of the table etiquettes that I think are pet peeves that we all have seen and that we all could use or, polish up on. It also said here to not blow your soup at the table. I thought this one was it was one of those question marks. Don't blow your soup at the table.
Yeah.
Let it cool off and then eat it. So you shouldn't be blowing it. I mean, we all do that. When our food is hot, we just blow it. That's just what it is. And so they say that's not proper etiquette to blow your soup.
But you know what? I never do that, ever.
You never blow?
No.
Oh, wow. I'll blow it in a minute.
But I just thought of a good one, speaking of blowing and stuff. And never, ever, on your way to dining out, stop at a service station to put fuel in your vehicle without sanitizing, washing your hands. Because those nozzles, hand nozzles on those, or the hand apparatus on those nozzles are so contaminated, it is beyond belief.
Definitely. And I mean, you remember on our holiday, which we just passed yesterday, and happy belated 4th to everybody. We saw a drop in gas prices or sale in gas prices at one particular gas station.
Yeah.
And lines were long, but it was worth it to get that gas at a discount. So imagine how many people were touching that particular gas spout.
That's right. All those spouts, yeah.
And so there could have been a lot of things passed between people if you didn't wash your hands in between.
And because of that, that's why I started keeping hand sanitizer in my car. Because after I purchased my fuel and pump it in my car, I sanitize my hands right away.
Oh yeah, it's a great thing to keep that on hand, or even wipes, little wet wipes for that cause.
And that's why a lot of service stations have gloves now at the pump, so you can put gloves on, because they found out those are hand nozzles. But not only the bacteria, but the bacteria is so potent, it also contains fecal matter from people going to use the restroom, coming out, pumping their vehicle without washing their hands.
That's definitely one of the things that we saw on one of our audios that it said about the utensils in restaurants, that there was a large number of fecal matter that was found on utensils.
Yeah, we'll probably get to that before we end the broadcast today, along with another audio clip, because I want you children to hear this one. And perhaps after the broadcast, parents can avail themselves to the video so they can play this for their children. If your mom would like to do that now.
Definitely.
Join Kids Hat family. Oh dear, what a mess you have made.
Hi, Tia. Did you get me some chips and chocolates?
No, Tofu, you're eating a lot of junk food these days.
But, Tia, I don't like eating vegetables and fruits. I love eating pizzas, burgers, fries, chips, cakes.
I cook such healthy food for you every day. But look at you, eating junk food all the time. It's so harmful for the body and your health.
Yeah.
Tofu, clean this mess and complete your homework.
I will, Tia. Don't worry.
Tofu, is everything all right?
No, Tia. My stomach hurts so much. I feel sick.
Oh, Tofu, I told you not to eat all that junk food that you've been eating since so many days.
I'm sorry, Tia. But what should I do now?
Don't be sorry to me. Be sorry to yourself that you're not treating your body well.
Tia, but how did I feel sick because of food?
You were eating unhealthy food. You haven't even been playing outside these days. Good food and exercise are so important for your body. Remember, what you eat is what you become.
What does that mean, Tia?
Healthy eating habits. Once upon a time, there lived two siblings who loved eating junk food every day. They refused the healthy meals that their mother cooked for them.
Oh dear, do you know that unhealthy food can affect your health? Joe, you will not be able to play football so well. And Jack, you will not be able to become a good runner if you keep eating all of this junk food.
But Mom, this tastes so good. I cannot eat these fruits and vegetables all the time.
I will eat healthy food. I want to become a great runner.
Yes, Jack, eat healthy and you will see the difference. Joe, you too.
Okay, I'm going to stop that video audio clip right there and give it up to my calls before we go to the break. Jackie?
Definitely. That was a great clip about eating healthy for children and them not eating so much junk food.
Yeah, because tofu seems like you want to eat all the junk food.
It was very cute, I think, for the kids. And hopefully some of our kids will be our listeners for that particular segment.
Absolutely.
One of the things it said here, and it was on more than one list, and it talked about when you don't like your food to not make a scene about it. So we need to talk a little bit about that, Dr. Glenn.
Yes, please.
That there's nothing worse than seeing somebody make a big scene.
All right, we have 50 seconds before we go to the next break. Then we'll return with our final 20 minutes. So let's wind it down to the next break. That'll be about 40 seconds, Jackie.
Yes. So if you don't like something, don't make such a big scene about it. Depending on what it is, Dr. Glenn, I'm on two-sided with that. I have two opinions about that. And so maybe we'll get a chance to do the other one once we come back. But one of them is not to make a big scene.
Yeah, when we come back, we'll get into more etiquette. But I definitely want to get into the document about proper attire for going to church. So keep it locked right here, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivation with Glenn and Jacqueline Cullins Williams. We will return after this brief sponsorship break. 106.9 FM, Awesome Radio.
Keep it locked right here to the Glenn Johnson Show.
This is Glenn Coward. You're listening to Awesome Radio, 106.9.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was certainly brief. And we're not going to delay anything because we have reached our final 20 minutes of the broadcast. I'm going to go right back to my co-host, Ms. Jacqueline Cullins Williams. Looks like she's primed up and ready to go.
Definitely, Dr. Glenn. These are a few no-nos when it comes to not liking something with your food. Commenting on other people's food. Some people, they may have a different taste from you. And for you to comment on their food and be like, oh, that looks so nasty. I mean, that's the worst thing for somebody to look at your food because you make different choices than them. And they now are talking about or commenting that your food looks nasty.
And you know what else about that too? Is I hate to go out and dine out with somebody and they'll tell me, well, I didn't really like it. What do you mean? They were like, it was food that was cooked and prepared. Maybe your taste buds is just different from everybody else's. I didn't think anything was wrong with it, that particular establishment. So I don't know where you got that from. Well, I just think this, think that. Food is food as long as it's cooked. It wasn't raw, was it?
Definitely. And, some of our older people, especially, I can remember with my mother, and I took her to a few restaurants that may cook it a little bit different, and in a lot of Southern people, they do cornmeal on fish, and they don't want to see anything that's battered with flour or some type of batter that's made with flour outside of cornmeal, and then they don't like it. And so I remember my mother making such a big stink about it. This is not good fish. I'm like, you got to try something different. Yeah. I remember also the same thing when I came from Germany. I was eating bratwurst and some things that I had been exposed to in another country, and she just automatically rejected it. And then once she tried it, she was making bratwurst on the grill all the time.
Exactly.
Because she had the chance to try it. Don't knock it. Sometimes people have different tastes than you, and it doesn't mean that their food is nasty or, the thing that I used to get was that you eat like white people. I mean, what do white people eat?
Well, because I probably at the time she did not know how to articulate that.
Yes.
And what she really meant was, you know, just eating good, healthy food is what it boils down to.
Or that your palate is expanded from what you grew up on. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. And that, we get exposed to different things. We add different things to our diet. And so that doesn't make us wrong. It just means that we have a taste for different things.
It's like one of my uncles we used to go for dinner to his house. He would make these rolls from scratch, but I knew they was made with yeast, and of course I knew it was flour involved. I just didn't like the rolls until I started putting a little margarine on it, and now you can't get me to stop eating them things.
Definitely, but don't knock it until you try it. Also, staring at others when they go out to eat, especially if a person is, maybe a little bit more heavy in the weight, staring at them and staring at different people while they're eating. Nobody wants to be gawked at while they're eating. And especially kids. I've had kids turn around over the bench and be standing there looking at me the whole time. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to eat, and that kid is just sitting there. Sit your kid down.
Put him down. Put a leash on him.
That's right. And also insulting with a tip, Dr. Glenn. That is poor etiquette. Like, if you didn't like it, whatever. I experienced this in Colorado, and I remember this so vividly. And these people were leaders, and they made this lady wait for the tip, and then they came all the way back in and gave her a penny. She was so offended about how they did that to her. Don't offend someone with a tip. If you didn't feel like they gave good service, talk to the management or talk to the restaurant about it, and don't give a tip, and just go on about your business. But to offend them by giving them a small tip purposely in their face, that's a different matter.
Yeah, that's totally disrespectful.
Totally disrespectful.
Yeah, but also at the same time, be wary of the amount of tip that you give. I gave a tip one time because the staff treated me so nice, and I was very appreciative of them. So not only did I give the one server a tip, I gave all the young ladies that was working that night a tip. But the mistake I made was I used my credit card. So the credit card company called me the next day, Mr. Johnson, you left such a large tip, we have to call you because, you're using our money. I'm like, wait a minute, it's my money. Because if I'm paying the bill, does it make it my money? Not while until you pay us. So be leery and mindful of that, Jackie.
Definitely. Also, be open to learn how to make those dishes. You can make the same dish at home that you like to go out and eat. If you feel like you can't go out and eat and you feel like you're not getting good service, why can't you learn how to make the same pasta dish at home? Look up those recipes and start working on your own skills at home and make those same dishes at home. I do it all the time, Dr. Glenn. I'll imitate what they're doing. I had this, I found out it was good, found out the secret ingredient, and then I would make it at home.
And I just did that yesterday before we came on the air. Remember, I was asking you about quesadilla. I'm going to get me some quesadilla.
Quesadillas is what they say.
Quesadilla, yeah.
I love quesadillas, and I make them at home too. I learned how to imitate it. Find out that you don't have to just do soul food. You can learn to do other cultures' cooking and make it good for us and make it good to our taste.
And Lord Jesus, know I love some soul food. But like you said, I also like other dishes. It might be so-called soul food. It might be Italian. It might be Asian. And it might be Spanish. As long as it's good, I'm ready for it. My mouth is set.
Definitely. Sometimes we don't want greens and cornbread all the time. Sometimes we want to know how to, make those quesadillas.
Yeah. Eat more salad. Drink more water.
Definitely.
We have 3 minutes to go for this particular segment. Then we'll be back with our final 10 minutes. At our final 10 minutes, I definitely want to get into the proper etiquette and attire for church. But once again, if you desire to make a comment or question, please do so by calling 252-756-2008. Jackie, we have 3 minutes before the break.
Definitely. And I just wanted to mention, to servers to be flexible when possible. If you can make something or change something, somebody doesn't want to sit in a certain place, then if it's possible, get them up and move them. I don't like to sit next to the bathroom. especially while I'm going to eat. You know what I mean? There just a lot of things can happen there by the bathroom. And so I don't like to sit there. If they can move you, move you. You know, don't get offended when a person says they don't want to sit next to the bathroom. Sit them where they need to sit. And so that's a good one, Dr. Glenn.
And I'll make one comment about that before the break. I was sitting next to the bathroom because you don't have any knowledge as to the person in the restroom who might have used the toilet and did not close the lid prior to flushing, and all the remnants that's in the toilet is now emitting in the air because they didn't close the lid. That is a known fact.
Definitely. And I don't want to participate in whatever somebody else is doing by the bathroom. And, you know, that may be something designers need to do, is to design it so that the bathroom is segregated from everyone else.
That's right.
Also, with people that are serving, come back and check on the people sometime. You know, that's bad service when you go there and sit and then you don't get your glass refilled, or they don't come see how you are. They give you the food and then they're gone. And you've sat the whole time without any service. You might need a fork or a spoon or something that was missing from the table. Come back and check on them. And then just the opposite, if they come back and check you too much. If they're bothering you too much, it can be, you know, bad service.
Yeah, I think I might save this for after we come back from the break. And I definitely want to mention this. Like I said, I want to make no jokes today. It's not a joking matter. But I do want to say one thing. But I'll hold it till we come back from the break. 60 seconds, Jackie.
Also, offer something if it's not right. If people that come to your restaurant have a complaint and you know that was something done wrong, offer them something off that bill. You know, there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, look, we're going to give you a discount. We see the food was burnt. We see that it wasn't served right. We see that it wasn't done. It wasn't brought to you warm. Offer people a discount. There's nothing wrong with that, Dr. Glenn. And I think people appreciate that when restaurants make it right.
Yeah. And I'll mention what I want to mention to everybody when I come back. I'm starting to make light of this. I don't want to joke about things, particularly on today's broadcast, about a subject that's so very important. But I got one bit of humor to share when we come back from the break. I'll hold it until then. Anyway, if you desire to call in, 252-756-2008. We are standing by and waiting for your call. We will return in a moment after this brief break. Awesome Radio 106.9 FM.
1 in 3 adults in America have prediabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Here's 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mom my. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
My name is Jayla, and you're to see to my papa, Glenn Johnson, on the radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Awesome Radio 106.9 FM, WBISLP. This is my only humor for today. Then I'm going to give it over to my co-host, Ms. Jacqueline Cullins-Williams. When you're dining out and you're not familiar with the particular restaurant and you're not familiar with the language, particularly if it's a language you don't normally speak, but you have to be leery. It's like, say, for instance, you might go to a restaurant that serves a lot of French dishes in French. The menu might be in French. Well, if you can't pronounce the words, perhaps you should ask somebody, how do they say this in English? And the only humor I'm going to make today is, that's like, I took this young lady out one time. We went out to eat. After we got done eating, she wanted to go get some drinks. I said, well, I don't drink. I said, but I'll take you to get some drinks anyway. So we get to the bar. As we enter the bar, we pass my room. Passed by this room. She said, I want to go in there. They got Patron only. I said, girl, that's not Patron, that's patrons only. That's the bathroom. So it didn't say restroom, it said patrons. Patrons only, mean customers only. So know what you're looking at, know the familiarity of the place, and just don't assume things. I think that's highly important because you don't want to go to a patrons only thinking it's Patron only. Jackie.
Definitely. And Dr. Glenn, we're going to switch over to church attire.
Please
On
do.
last week, I did make a statement and I needed to, after I got home, I thought, wow, I need to clarify that statement a little bit.
Yeah.
And one of the statements that I made was that, every place that you go, there is a uniform and you will adjust to that uniform if it's in the workplace or wherever. But when it comes to church, we don't want one. I did not mean for that statement to mean like you had to be dressed up every Sunday with a suit. Because I heard you say directly after, well, I'm going to have my suit and tie on. I'm not saying you have to wear a suit and tie. I'm just saying come appropriate for church. You could be casual, but I'm saying, what you're going to wear out to the baseball field, that's for the baseball field. And, when we were growing up, we had church clothes. We had things that we wore for church only. And we talked about that, the one pair of Sunday shoes or
right.
whatever. And so that's the ideal that I'm talking about, is to wear something that's nice to church. Don't just come with whatever or wearing your worst. And when you don't go to your job wearing your worst, or you don't go other places. If you went out on a date, you wouldn't go on a date raggedy, or you wouldn't go certain places where you want to impress people looking raggedy. So, but we'll say when it comes to church, come as you are. That the Bible doesn't say come as you are. It doesn't say stay as you are either. Sometimes you may not have anything when you first start going to church, or people their first fellowship in that church. But as you go, you'll grow and you'll begin to get more clothes,
Yeah,
and so
and that's why pastors, deacons, and mothers of churches, they might say or refer to come as you are, because they want you in church to fellowship with them. And at the time, they don't really care how you dress, as long as you come to meet them in church for fellowship. But me personally, there's one thing I will not ever do, and I'm telling you, I will not do it. Like you said, you can dress casual. So if I don't wear a suit with a nice dress shirt and tie, I'm going to be casual and a nice pair of dress pants and a dress shirt. I will not ever wear a pair of jeans to church.
And everybody has their personal conviction.
Yeah.
Some people, they can wear jeans and a nice shirt and they look good, especially these young people, and they got on the sneakers to match and they're looking good. But as long as they're looking good, that's the biggest thing, is that they put some effort into going to church.
Because the whole thing is about respect. Respecting the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. When you approach a church and appear at church, you are to be respectable. That's what it's all about.
And your personal conviction, so a lot of times we see people making their personal conviction on everybody else. Now everybody else has to do this, and that's not true. Some people, they don't feel anything about wearing jeans to church. I wear a jean skirt, I definitely will, and I don't feel anything about that.
Well, if I feel somebody wants to fellowship and become holy, become a man or woman of God, and be saved, I will say, I'm really don't care how you come. If you want to come with jeans and sneakers on, if you want to be saved, if you want to fellowship, then by all means, appear at church.
Come how you are,
That's
but
right.
It doesn't mean that you'll stay how you are.
That's right.
You might have been something else while you were out on the street, but then now you're a child of God and you're going to begin to evolve and reflect that. You're going to begin to reflect that in your dress. And so who we are is reflected in how we dress. You can tell who a person is by how they dress a lot of times. The umpire is wearing black and white stripes. And that's an umpire.
And not just a person that works at Foot Locker.
Some of them wear that color too, but but they have a tag or a name or something that lets you know that it's Foot Locker versus the one that's out there coaching.
That's an ump, yeah.
So it tells a lot about you, and that's what you have here, is that our clothes reveal much about our lifestyle, our outlook on life, and also our self-esteem. It tells a lot about how you feel about yourself by what you portray and how you dress. It means a lot. And it also means they're going to church. Did you wear that for attention? I mean, is your dress short because that's what you how you like that style, or are you trying to catch the attention of somebody else? Are your clothes tight because you can't afford anymore, or are you trying to be, alluring to other people?
I had to point out to a young man one time working at a resort hotel. So we're all in the hospitality industry, but I was a security supervisor. This gentleman was working in the dietary, and he had on the most fabulous outfit. And I'm like, I see him washing dishes and stuff. I'm like, why are you wearing those expensive clothes washing dishes? And his response was, he was trying to impress this young lady. I told him, let me explain something to you. If she doesn't understand that you're here working, as opposed to somebody just trying to look good, then perhaps you don't need her anyway. She should understand that you're working and you have work clothes on. There's no way in the world you should be wearing what you're wearing right now, washing dishes.
And then she probably didn't like him anyway.
She didn't.
So it probably, because if somebody likes you, they're going to like you for you.
That's
and
right.
not because you're putting on some false version in front of them.
Exactly.
And so we need to dress well. Do your best.
She was just meeting a representative at the time.
Oh, yes. And, every person, some people, they like the dress up scale. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I see the discrimination on both sides, Dr. Glenn, for those that don't dress well and also for those that like to dress well. Well, you think you're all that and you think you're something. I've seen all of those comments.
That's right.
On those sides. Leave those people alone. Let them dress nice. If they want to look good, let them look good. Stop hating on them and stop being jealous.
And we have 2 minutes to go to the broadcast. And I just want to say, although Coach Garrison couldn't be with us today, I hope we shared a lot of information with our listening audience. If you'd like to avail yourself to some of the documents we have, please email me at Glenn, Glenn, Glenn Johnson Show at gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to forward some of the documents to you. With 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining, I'm going to give that to my co-host.
I just want to tell you that wherever it is, whether it's you're being served in the restaurant or you're in service and working in the restaurant industry or serving people, to do your best. And I wanted to give just one scripture here, Dr. Glenn. I have one written down, 1 Corinthians 10:31. It says, whether therefore you eat or drink, whatever you do all to the glory of God. So whether you eating or drinking or whatever you do it all to the glory of God, whether you're serving or being served, even if you're in your attire and you're dressing for service, whether you dress up or dress down, do it all to the glory of God. That's right. Make sure God is first, and he's first and foremost in whatever you're doing, that he's the reason and he inspires what you do.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. If you do it, not only for yourself, but do it in the name of Jesus, because you have to put God first in everything. You would not be here if it was not for God or our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So by all means, put our Lord and Savior first. By all means, Jackie.
Definitely. Do it to the glory of God. We are glad about this show on today, Dr. Glenn. I think as you said, we've given out quite a bit of information. You can call or you can email, and we'll give you some of the documents as Dr. Glenn showed on today. Or if you have a comment after the fact, email Dr. Glenn and we'll talk about it. Something that you may want to add that you may have not wanted to be on the air with.
Yeah, because we can include it in the next broadcast for the particular topic. So by all means, email me. Email address once again, Glenn, Glenn Johnson Show at gmail.com. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a blessed day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Calling all great.